A major change to WWE's PLEs, Wyatt 6's debut leaked, my review of Monday Night Raw, and more. I'm Luke Owen, and this is the WrestleTalk News.
Support WrestleTalk!
You know, there's too much negativity in the wrestling world at the moment, with tribalistic fans making me long for the days I was part of the Star Wars online community. So let's kick off today's news with something nice and wholesome. The young members of the wrestling club in Brooklyn, New York, who have become quite the viral sensation in recent years, were visited by a very special guest while watching the ROH Women's Championship match between Willow, Nightingale and Athena. As captured in this video uploaded by the club's founder Victor Perry, none other than the TBS champ herself dropped by unannounced to surprise the students, leading to a rapturous pop inside the classroom. That is just oh so wonderfully wholesome. Even WWE's Bayley liked this, calling their clip beautiful on Twitter, and she is not wrong. Since taking over creative responsibilities, Triple H has sought to put his own stamp on WWE's premium live events. Gone are the overly bloated cards running 4 to 5 hours in length, with most pay-per-views now typically featuring just 5 or 6 matches and running under 3 hours. You know, what he did with takeover shows. It has meant that WWE pay-per-views feel well-paced, with lots of breaks for the Peacock commercials and decent end times for us in the UK who have to stay up past our bedtime to watch them live. I turn 40 next year and I have a toddler. Daddy needs his sleep. So perhaps it's no surprise to hear that WWE may be seeking to continue with what they've been testing out recently. Pay-per-views starting earlier and finishing earlier. PW Insider have reported that WWE are maintaining the experiment of beginning pay-per-views at 7 p.m. Eastern rather than the traditional time of 8 p.m. It comes off the back of Dana White over the weekend saying that TKO could be changing a Nick Khan initiative where he moved WWE pay-per-views to Saturdays from their traditional Sundays. White claimed that we could see TKO weekends in the same city, Power Slap on a Friday, UFC on a Saturday, and WWE on a Sunday. This would be a huge change for WWE, and one that we won't see until after Bash in Berlin at the very least, as all shows until then are already booked for Saturdays. However, perhaps Mr. White was speaking out of turn, as PW Insider are reporting that Sunday nights won't be for every WWE show, just those for those occasional TKO weekends. Speaking of pay-per-views, and we may have the answer as to when we will see the return of Bo Dallas, aka Uncle Howdy, and the much speculated Wyatt 6 faction. Much like Bray's return back in October 2022, WWE have been flooding their programming with teasers relating to the faction's debut via QR code. While most of them have been ignored by commentary, last night's was mentioned by Michael Cole and Pat McAfee, perhaps suggesting that the big reveal is near. This QR code has led to a series of images, including a newspaper clipping for a missing therapist written by Wendy Lucho, an anagram of Uncle Howdy, with a tease date of May 16th, this Thursday, potentially on Twitch, going by what is written on this floppy disk. Man, floppy disk make me feel well nostalgic. Look, floppy disk, this is how I first played Doom and Worms. Previously, it had been speculated that the full debut for the group would be at the King and Queen of the Ring on May 25th, so it'll be interesting to see what comes this Thursday. Our Monday Night War rages on over on Parts Unknown, and we've just finished our second pay-per-view with some surprising results and terrible injuries. Here is what you need to know. Welcome to the Monday Night War.
I could Dan over.
Go yourself.
What did I do?
If it wasn't you, it was you.
That's exactly what I wanted.
You wanted to injure him?
Well, I didn't want to injure him. That's
Babyface versus babyface. Oh, piss. It's a marathon, not a sprint. You at least got to start running in a marathon, otherwise you're never going to finish it.
Oh! Uh-oh!
There you go.
I'm going to play the 1 minute power card on you, mate, so you've got 6 minutes to book your show.
Your roster's hurting, mate.
Well, I know, Pete. That's why my last 2 shows have sucked, because, like, everyone hurts. Cindy Fluff. Cindy Fluff.
I'm telling you the Trixie Gambit. She actually is your MVP. Yeah, you just have to know what you're doing.
Where's Bayley again?
I'm still not feeling great about this show, but I'm feeling okay in life.
Head on over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk to check out episodes 1 week early and ad-free, and an exclusive booking podcast where we talk about all the behind-the-scenes thoughts on the show. Thank you to everyone who has made this one of our most successful Patreon stretches in WrestleTalk's history. We could not do this without you. And now it's time for my review of Monday Night Raw, aka Pat Barks a Lot edition of Monday Night Raw, in about 5 minutes. The show opened with Drew McIntyre arriving at the building and heading straight to the ring to bury CM Punk for looking like a drug addict without taking any drugs. Ouch. Jey Uso for constantly choking in title matches. Ouch. The King of the Ring tournament for sucking because he's not in it. Ouch. And Damian Priest for being a paper champion who doesn't deserve to be the champion. Ouch. Drew opened up Savage Season, and it was awesome. And it brought out Damian Priest to address that Drew is nothing more than a hypocrite, and recapped how he won the title at Mania because Drew is too obsessed with CM Punk. Even though Drew is currently injured, when he is cleared, Damian Priest said he will get a title shot. It was a very good opening segment, particularly when Drew was talking and shutting down the crowd's "What" chants. And putting him in a title program does elevate that championship to the main event scene again. In what was easily the match of the night, Io Sky beat Shayna Baszler in a King of the Ring quarter-final, which even got a reference to Stardom on commentary, and featured some awesome reversals and counters from pins into submissions and back again, finishing with Sky hitting the over the moonsault for the win. An awesome match, and further proof that, get this everyone, you can get wrestlers over by having them do wrestling. Who'd have thought that would work? Not only that, it's proof that having wrestling on your wrestling show makes the wrestling show better. Backstage, Chad Gable ran down his Alpha Academy members and set up matches for Otis to take on Sami Zayn and Akira Tozawa to face Bronson Reed. He then ran down Maxine for failing in a Queen of the Ring tournament she wasn't originally booked for. Making her Raw debut, Kiana James told Adam Pearce that she doesn't hesitate, she adjudicates. Does that mean? Actually, you know what does that mean? Dictionary.com. Definitions for adjudicate. Make a formal judgment on a disputed matter. The committee adjudicates on all betting disputes. Acting as a judge in a competition. So is she going to be a judge? Is that her gimmick now? She's going to be sat at ringside?
I actually have no idea.
She's going to adjudicate. Get out of here. In a lovely surprise, Lillian Garcia returned to WWE to introduce Kofi Kingston, oddly not Gunther, for their King of the Ring quarter-final match, which was about as awesome as you would think it was. Kofi attacked Gunther before the bell and beat him up around ringside, getting his revenge for Xavier Woods, but Gunther responded by murdering Kofi Kingston. Kofi made his comeback, hitting Trouble in Paradise on the floor for a close count-out victory, but Gunther got back in, ducked another Trouble in Paradise, hit a powerbomb and locked in the Boston Crab for the win. Awesome, awesome scenes. He really should win this whole thing. Later, Kofi Kingston seemingly started a feud with Karrion Kross because New Day are the latest victims of the Karrion Kross mid-card vortex. In a wacky little backstage segment, Becky Lynch thanked Lyra Valkyria for having her back, then exited left off screen. Liv Morgan then entered in to the right of screen and called Becky a bitch, and Lynch then apparently nightcrawled herself behind Morgan to punch her in the face. How did she get here? Did she walk around the camera? And if that's so, how come Liv didn't see that? And I don't care because I laughed. This was a lot of fun. Bronson Reed quickly beat Akira Tozawa, and Ludwig Kaiser cut a hell of a promo on Sheamus to set up a future match between them. New Catch Republic promised Tekkers in their fatal 4-way tag match to crown new #1 contenders to the tag belt, and Bron Breakker is still a sad boy because he wasn't booked in the King of the Ring tournament. This led to Pat McAfee barking like a dog for what felt like a eternity, and the more he did it, the more I disliked him. Lyra Valkyria beat Zoe Stark in a fine match to advance to the semi-finals of the Queen of the Ring tournament, and Sami Zayn beat Otis in a short match that was all built around Chad Gable telling his #1 guy to not do the worm, as our second Worms reference of the day. Incoming! Otis did it anyway, but then took advice from Gable, and it led to him getting a haluva kick in the face from Sami Zayn, which was his only offensive move in the entire match. Not a great way to put over your IC champion, but a cool continuation of this Alpha Academy story, as the crowd lapped up and went crazy for the idea of Otis possibly fighting back against his abusive coach. Chad will take on Sami next week, which has DQ finish written all over it. And speaking of lame finishes, Becky Lynch and Dakota Kai's match lamely ended in DQ when Damage Control jumped Becky before the finish. Too many DQs on this show for my liking there, Triple H. Lyra made the save again, but couldn't stop Liv from posting Lynch. Earlier in the night, Judgment Day were hanging out in their Judgment Den, and Damian Priest was uneasy about Carly's Carlito being in their ranks, but Mr. Caribbean Cool hoped that one day they could all be friends. And then he helped Finn Balor and JD McDumbass get the win in a fatal 4-way tag match that also included New Catch Republic, AOP, and the Creeds. This was about as fun as you would expect it to be, and the final stretch in particular was fan-flipping-tastic, with Tyler Bate doing his big strong boy shtick on the much larger AOP. Backstage, Priest told Carlito that what he did was cool, which you see was Carlito's old gimmick. And the main event saw main event Jey Uso get a main event win over should-be main eventer Ilya Dragunov in the other King of the Ring quarterfinal match. They had a really good outing with the usual intensity of a Dragunov match, and holy hell is Jey Uso's entrance over. Jey getting the win, while upsetting to some who just wanted to see Ilya and Gunther in the semi-finals, makes sense to me, as I think there's more mileage in waiting to get to that match. Make the fans want to see it. And I'm not just talking about the 5 of us that watched NXT UK, but the whole WWE audience. This was another great edition of Monday Night Raw, carried by the really good in-ring wrestling for the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments. This week Raw is 4 out of 5. Now go and watch our latest episode of the Monday Night War, where our heroes book Summerfest.